Hey guys, today I just wanted to talk about a game called Critical Mass. This is a game that I got a review copy of, and it's a deck building game where you will choose from one of four different high-tech mech robots to battle either a single opponent in a two-player game, or if you combine both sets, you can play a four-player game. So this was a game that I had on my radar for quite some time. I'd heard about it, I think about a year or so ago, from Tom Vassell at the Dice Tower, and he had said at the time this was going to be one of their Dice Tower Essential games, which they publish in conjunction or they cooperate with Arcane Wonders to have published. And that got me interested right away. They usually recommend pretty good games in that range, and I had played a lot of Star Realms. I really don't have much experience at all with more of the classic deck builder games, Dominion, Ascension, or Magic the Gathering. So I'm a real newbie in terms of classical deck builders, but I did play a lot of Star Realms and really enjoyed that because you could just get up and get playing. Very simple to play, very quick to play, and a really fun back and forth. This game seemed like it would be also relatively simple and straightforward to play, but perhaps offer a little bit more in terms of theme and a little bit more in terms of variety and perhaps even slightly more in terms of depth of play. So we can take a closer look here at the pieces of the game, so to speak. So the interesting thing in this game is you get a board with each of the mechs. So this represents the health of your mech. You've got these different areas here where you fill in armor cubes. So they're these sort of metallic seeming cubes here. They're actually plastic, but they sort of look kind of metallic. And these determine the health of each of your four mechs modules. And if any of these get damaged, they will have negative consequences in terms of limiting the kind of cards you can play or perhaps forcing you to discard some cards. And if you lose all of these cubes, you essentially lose the game. So that's a very important thing to keep in mind. There's also these little green cubes, which are an indicator of being primed. And being primed gives you certain bonus abilities depending on your mech. Each of the mechs have their own abilities, which is really cool. So they're asymmetrical. This one, Archon, is kind of a more high-tech defensive mech with a sort of regenerating force field over here. And you have this guy, Rajin, who's a more high-speed, quick attacking mech with their own sort of dodge superpower, which they can activate. But, the artwork looks really, really good in this. And just that, I think, adds a nice layer above your more standard deck builders like Star Realms or even Shards of Infinity, which, both games I really enjoy. In terms of how you play the game, you have this kind of guide here to indicate to you where you need to store your cards. This is your cooldown pile, is kind of like your discard pile. Equipment up at the top here is where you'll play equipment cards that will give you permanent effects or effects for as long as they stay in play until an opponent destroys them. And your deactivated cards over here are essentially where you'll be pulling new cards from. So there's an action that allows you to dip into this deck to get new cards to build out your hand and get more powerful cards in your hand. The way the game plays is that each player gets a hand of 6 cards to start off with, and you'll be playing simultaneously, picking a card from your hand, potentially a weapon. And the important thing about these weapons are the speed of the weapon, which is this green value, and then the attack value here in the red. And the speed is really important because the player with the highest speed on their card gets to actually attack first, and they essentially disrupt the other player, which means they kind of nullify the attack of the other player, except for particular weapons. And actually, this is a good example because it says this weapon cannot be disrupted, which is quite good because its speed is pretty low, which is quite nice. Oftentimes you'll have heavier weapons that are faster, so you're more likely to get your attack delivered, whereas heavier weapons will have a slower speed of attack, so they might get disrupted. You also have equipment, as I was saying, so this one actually gives your weapons 1 speed. It has 1 armor value, and you would place it at the top here in your equipment section. Note that each of these modules have their own armor values, so for me to remove my opponent's components here, I'd need to deal an attack of at least 1, in this case 2, 3, and 4 over here. Some other cool equipment here that reduces the firepower of certain weapons. And again, you'd place these at the top here, and those aren't limited. You do have these other kind of cards which offer you evasive tactics, so you can actually play this straight away, and because it's got this lightning bolt, it actually activates before any other cards, so you can usually dodge weapons if you play this at the right moment. You have these action cards which have different effects. This one allows you to regenerate your force field. It's specific to Archon here. You can see there's the Archon mech specific symbol here. Some other weapons are specific to the other mech, so this is specific to Ragin. And you'll have other cards that are generic. So wherever you see this kind of nuclear symbol here, it means it's a generic card that can be used typically by either of the mechs playing if they pull it into their hand. Activate is an action card, so this actually lets you pull new cards and build out your deck from this set of deactivated cards. You have a recharge card here, which lets you basically take cards from the cooldown pile and bring them into your hand, so that's kind of like refreshing your hand. You will have, let's see, other cards that have different abilities, but those are the kind of main 3 areas. So weapons, action cards, and defensive cards. And that's mainly it. It's a pretty simple game to play. It's not really super complex, but I think the variety in the cards, and because you have these different weapon types and various weapons and pieces of equipment will interact with these weapon types differently, because you have the speed of play and the damage level that varies from weapon to weapon, it makes the game really interesting. And I found that this had a nice level of depth to it compared to something like Star Realms. I think Shards of Infinity also achieved that with the ability to sort of upgrade the power of each card, but this really gives you a nice level of asymmetry with your starting mech being very different from your opponent's starting mech. And again, as I said earlier, there's a whole nother set here with a different group of mechs. So this is Patriot versus Iron Curtain. These are kind of more heavy-hitting and tanky style mechs here. And I'm sure if the game sells well, they will be releasing new mechs in the future. But that's pretty much it for the overview. I've played this game a couple of times now and really enjoyed it. I think it's one that you should definitely check out if you enjoy deck building games, if you enjoy these kind of quick back and forth games for 2 players. It's a pretty affordable game. I think it's in the £15 to £20 range here in the UK and $20 to $25 range in the US if available. It looks really great on the table. It's just a fun game, and for people like me who love movies like Pacific Rim and the concept of giant mechs, it's really a lot of fun. So definitely check this one out if it seems like something you'd be interested in. That's Critical Mass, and I've been the Board Game Minimalist. Thank you.